Hey YouTube, it's see if anybody else is awake and doing things this early. This is the awkward after kindergarten drop off, before preschool drop off. Man, my hair's frizzy. Time in the morning, so Dee Dee's still over here eating breakfast, and I wanted to show you. Said you see my giant pile of pre-stripped out fiber here. What I was working on. So I'm gonna adjust the camera. Let's see. So as you see, it's the old trusty King Bee, which is I love. And what I'm working on, I just started, so my bobbin's pretty empty, is I'm finishing up some yarn for our new collection, and this is going to be like a single ply bulky. So for those of you, it was my yarn always went bulkier, and everybody acts amazed that I can spin thicker yarn when I actually had to work to spin thinner yarn, which is no problem now. But to spin thicker yarn, you want to put it on a larger ratio, and then you just strip out, when you're pre-drafting, leave your fiber in bigger chunks. So that actually probably needs to be split one more. If you leave it, I like to do it about the size, hey Jillian, of like maybe my finger, my pinky, and then just don't draft it as much, and then you too can achieve bulky singles. But you don't want to let too much, you really kind of got to control the twist, so watch your feet. So those are my tips. Bigger ratio, don't let your feet go too fast, and just leave it in bigger strips. See, I was kind of letting my feet go too fast. And that's how you get the bulky weight. And another fun thing I'm doing with this particular yarn, it's going to be cool. I've got two different types of sparkle here. So let me park this for a second so I can show you my sparkle. This one is blue crystallina, and I didn't know when I first started spinning there's different names for the different types of sparkle. So this one is kind of like, I really like, because it's technically white or clear, but it's got kind of a light bluey, light lavender sparkle to it. So that particular type is called crystallina. This particular type is called Firestar, which I have to keep all the bags labeled, and it's a little softer. It's more, I can't spin thicker yarn listening to music. Yeah, no, I can't spinning anything while watching tense TV shows or listening to music. Oh, thank you. And this has just been dyed. It's white Firestar that's been dyed, but it's a soft nylon. I like this a lot in art bats because it really disperses well in my drum carder when I'm blending, but I also, y'all have seen me do it before, just kind of work sparkle into some merino braids. So those are my two, and I always end up with it all over me. So what I'm doing is, here, let me get back to this, is just, and like I said, I should wear an apron. Sometimes I do. I end up with it just all over me. And so I actually think this is a little, I want to break this and thin it out some. So I'm just going to pinch here. Like I said, I feel like this piece is a little too thick. So I got the twist untwisted. And then Dee Dee's going to come over here. But, okay, Dee Dee, I'm not snuggling right now, kid. Okay, Dee Dee's going to go snuggle with the dog. So I'm, like I said, this particular strip I grabbed was thicker than I wanted it to be. So I'm going to strip this out thinner and then just reattach. So pull this around, and I'm going to get my feet going again. And yeah, okay, this is more the right size. So see, you got to kind of mess around with it. And then just attach one fuzzy end to the other fuzzy end, and they magically go together. So to add the sparkle in, I've got just some of the Firestar. I'm going to just lay a little bit, and you don't want to get too much going. I just put it perpendicular, so running the same way as my fiber, and I just let it kind of wrap around it, like that. So that's how, instead of using like a drum carder and an art bat and blending a bunch of stuff with sparkle, I'll just kind of add it in, and it's kind of a hand-painted idea because, as I can see the color changes, so, I can add it in where, like, especially if I'm alternating colors, so this is all the kind of blue, you can add in what you want. Another cool thing is I've got, I'm adding beads. So I've got my little pre-threaded beads here, which is the bead that I have threaded over some fiber. And I'm going to add these in. So see, my fiber is kind of this dark purple color, so I'm going to make sure, because I like the contrast, that I'm going to add it where it's the lighter color. But that being said, if I wanted it to not stand out, you would want to add it where it's the darker color, so it would match. So that is what I'm working on currently. And this yarn, like I said, this is one of my 3 of my newer colorways. They're all sort of gothic-y, I guess, because I love Halloween. So here's some of the Crystalina. And this stuff, it doesn't lay as flat. So that is one note. I like the sparkle on it, and I don't mind some texture. But if you really want it to lay flat, you'd probably like the Firestar better. Same idea. I'm just kind of, you really want to be more sparing. Oh, I can't wait to have a spinning wheel. It's so fun, Zoe. I highly recommend it. This one is the Spinolution King Bee. They're on my site if you want to see it in action. I've got a ton of videos on here. But it's cool. It folds into a box. So there's a bunch of different types. You can get really traditional wheels. You can get really contemporary wheels. So it's fun. It's like drop spindles. You can kind of collect what you want. And see, I also always have the gather sparkles off your pants. So I'm constantly doing that. But this is what I've got. Like I said, I'm going to take Dee Dee, my youngest, to preschool here in like 40 minutes. And then I got to come home and do some house cleaning and things that aren't so fun. But then I'm also going to, yeah, so here's another bead. I'm also going to try to finish this yarn, which I call work because it is part of my job to finish this at some point in time, but is definitely enjoyable, so I'm not going to complain. So one more time with we'll get some of this blue. This is what I'm talking about. I like doing it this way because I can really tell where the colors. So I want some of this blue in with this like charcoal gray color. So I'm going to put it perpendicular. There it goes. Have to get my kid. Yeah, no, early. Like so this is that we have one in kindergarten and one in preschool. So we have this weird like drop off one at kindergarten, come home for an hour, and then go to preschool. I'm always very confused about where I'm going, and I live in fear of somehow going to the wrong school at the wrong time. So anyhow, that's a little beads in 2 different types of sparkle. So I need to go eat something. I need to go eat something before we go take Dee Dee to, look at the insanity going on over here. So this is my youngest and our dog, and they are constantly wrestling. And Dee Dee usually has some sort of scratch on her face from wrestling with the dog, but we can't seem to get her to stop, so I've just given up. But anyhow, everybody have a good morning. I just was doing something I thought was cool, and since I'm feeling better, figured I would share. So anyhow, happy spinning, and there should be more videos coming up soon. Have a good one.